Good evening and welcome along to the sixth form information evening. I want to start by apologising to everybody. Obviously, when we planned the event, we didn't realise it was going to be on the same evening as the England game. So we will endeavour to keep things brief, obviously cover things in as much detail as we can, but we will make sure that we will be finished and wrapped up, hopefully, by about 7 o'clock so you can enjoy the pre-game build-up. The purpose of this evening is to talk to you a little bit about what students can expect when they start sixth form in September, and also to cover the remaining events that will be taking place throughout the transition process. I'm joined this evening by our Key Stage 5 Learning Manager, Mrs. Price, who students will get to know really well once they join us in September, and some of you may have met already and some parents may have spoken to already, and also your head of year, Mrs. Eaglesham. So without further ado, I'm just going to share with you my PowerPoint, and I will hand over then to Mrs. Eaglesham to talk you through some key things about what to expect in September.
Thank you very much. Good evening all, I hope you're doing well. As Mrs. Wars had mentioned, I'm going to start with some key information around sixth form life and what your son or daughter can expect when they join us in September. All of this information actually was shared with our own internal students yesterday on their induction day. As you'll see, there is a timetable, a sample timetable shown on the screen there, which can be similar to what students will expect. Obviously, they haven't necessarily selected those subject areas, but it gives a flavour as to what a timetable looks like. As our own students will know and are very much used to, our school day runs from 8:40 until 3 o'clock. Each morning, students will attend tutor time from 8:40 till 9 a.m. They'll experience a wide and varied programme, which will include Key Stage 5 and Year 12 assemblies, next step guidance, pastoral support, and various activities to support their wider personal development. The role of the tutor is really key and significant for students as they progress through their sixth form journey. It's not only a point of contact for them as students, but also for yourself as parents. And we would encourage you to reach out to them as a first port of call. They'll initially support in students' transition and to make sure that students settle in and then get to grips with how sixth form works. And then beyond that, they'll continue with the academic mentoring and that next step guidance I've mentioned, and deliver our tutor programme. Within their timetables and beyond and after tutor time, students will have 9 hours per subject across a fortnight. Okay, very much a change from GCSE. They have streamlined their number of subjects, but obviously have broadened the time that they spend in each of those subject areas to go into greater detail, greater depth, and to cover that course content. Notice there, period 0s and 6s are possible, just to make a note of that at this stage. Beyond their subject option choices, as part of our curriculum, we also offer and put in place 1 lesson per week of enrichment. The aim of this is to support not only their academic studies, but again, provide those enrichment opportunities to broaden their personal development. You'll also see on there some PE and art. Students will have 1 hour of PE or art, which they will make that choice in September. That's not something that they need to consider right now. The focus of that is much more on a recreational stance. That hour in the timetable, which is low stakes, no assessments to worry about, that downtime away from the stresses of the academic subjects, that recreational and social aspect of the timetable, a little bit of self-care for our students. On timetable, students will also have dedicated silent study time. This is compulsory dedicated time where they spend time in our library, a very well-resourced area. There's a small picture there, a vast array of 60+ computers, and it's very much like a university feel library, a very quiet space for students to continue their independent study. It helps them to manage their workload, helps them to keep on top of their studies as they progress through their sixth form. When students don't have directed time, when they haven't got a timetabled lesson or directed time to silent study, you'll see there's what, that looks like blanks on their timetable. I don't want to call that free time because the focus of those sessions is still on independent study and supporting their lessons. So that directed time, we've got some lovely sixth form spaces to continue to work in, whether that is some group work within the common room or perhaps grabbing a coffee and using the cafe area, which is a slightly less formal place to continue study. But there's lots of space, there's further access to computers, all to create a really positive environment to continue to support their studies. We do realise it is not all about the academics. I mean, that is our primary focus, but there is downtime. There is time where they need to be socialising with their peers. Okay, we've got dedicated, again, within our sixth form area. They don't need to be mixing with other lower year groups. They have their dedicated space. The cafe is very much a highlight for some and is very well used both at break and lunchtime. And we've got the soft seating areas. We've got our relatively new garden area, as well as our sixth form balcony areas, which are obviously lovely spaces when the weather is a little bit better than perhaps it has been the last few days. It's also important to say, for those that perhaps do want to continue their studies at times, silent study area is actually still a really quiet place if students still want that study area to work in. We really feel that the more students put in and engage with sixth form life, the more they'll get out of it. There are a vast array of opportunity, as shown on the next couple of slides, that students can opt into and get involved with through their time in sixth form. Not only are they great opportunities to broaden themselves and broaden their personal development, they also look very, very good when it comes to UCAS and personal statement writing and any apprenticeship or employment applications that they might be making. So we would really encourage students to throw themselves in, push themselves a little bit, perhaps opt into or get involved, volunteer with something that perhaps they wouldn't necessarily normally get involved with, but they will really reap the benefits if they do. The last thing I'm going to talk about is our careers provision and our next steps programme, as we tend to call it. Students will have barely got their feet under the table and started their Key Stage 5 courses when we will soon be thinking about what's next. What's their next steps after sixth form and they finish their time with us. Whether it is a university pathway, looking at apprenticeships, employment, perhaps a possible gap year, we hope and aim to deliver a programme that really provides all the information, the guidance that needed, so they can make really informed decisions about what those next steps are, and we'll support them through that process. Again, their tutors play a pivotal role in that, alongside the sixth form team. Rosie Wallace, our dedicated careers advisor. We very much work as a team to make sure that every student feels supported and they have what we call a destination after they leave us. Okay, that was very short and sweet from myself, but I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Ward now, who's going to go through a little bit more on expectations and the coming events.
Brilliant, thank you so much, Ms. Eaglesham. So I want to talk to you a little bit about our expectations. We have high expectations for our students at Wangels, and sixth form is no different. And in fact, it's almost more important when students get to sixth form because they're role models for the rest of the school and they're role models within the community. And we're really proud of the students that are in our sixth form and the work that they do. We do have a sixth form contract that all students will sign, and actually we ask parents and tutors to sign that contract as well, so that everybody is really clear on the expectations that we have. Students will go through that contract in their first couple of days in the sixth form so that they have the opportunity to ask any questions about anything there that they're not sure of. Some key things within the contract that's worth mentioning. The first is around attendance. we do expect students to be on school site from 8:40 in the morning through to at least lunchtime. So as a privilege, students, if they do not have a lesson period 5, are allowed to leave a little bit early, and they are allowed to go off site at lunchtime if they wish to. But we do expect students in here from 8:40 every morning, and obviously attending all of their lessons. Punctuality, obviously making sure that they're here on time, goes without saying, and in line with our attendance. We also have a dress code, and the dress code is something that we revisit quite regularly. Students revisit it with us. The purpose of our dress code is to make sure that students understand about professionalism, and to make sure that they feel purposeful in their environment up here, and they look really, really smart. The students have the opportunity to have a say whenever we review that policy, and every year we come back to agree the same thing, that that kind of smart office wear is what they would like to wear. All of the details of our dress code and attendance and sixth form contract can be found in the parent guide, which we'll send out at the end of the presentation, and it's also on the website. Another thing to mention is around mobile phones and also laptop devices. So one of the nice things about sixth form is students will be allowed to use their mobile phones, and they'll be allowed to bring in their own laptop or other devices. We do have a protocol in place to ensure that students are safe in their use, and that other students are protected as well. So we will again in September go through some of our policies around that, but students can, if they want to, bring their own devices into school. The other thing that's worth mentioning, and we talk about this every year, and I feel that it is really important to cover this. We want students to become more independent while they're with us in sixth form, and one of the great ways of becoming more independent is about taking up some part-time work. And we are really pleased to support students with making applications and things like that for work, providing references, etc. But we do feel strongly that the balance needs to be right in terms of the number of hours that students are working. You can see from the graph there that anything up to about 10 hours can be really good for students in gaining that independence and developing maturity. It also means that they've got a little bit of extra cash, which is brilliant, and they can juggle, they learn to juggle a little bit more the demands of their social life, work, school, etc. However, we have noticed, and unfortunately, while this is data, it is also reflected in some previous experiences that we've had with students. By doing more than 10 hours, it can have a detrimental impact on schooling. It means that you're more tired, it means that students will lack concentration, and it means that their focus is just taken away from their academic studies. And that's obviously where we want to make sure that we maintain that focus with part-time work, supporting the overall development for students. It's worth mentioning at this stage about some support that we have for students, and I know Ms Eaglesham has talked through other means of support, things like our career support, our tutor programme, mental health support, things like that. But one thing to mention is about our bursary fund. For families maybe where finances are a little bit tight, we would encourage you to review our bursary fund to see if you qualify. It is means tested. And all of the details can be found on our website about how to apply, and we will share that with upcoming communication. But if you qualify, it means that we can support with things like books and any resources that students need for their learning. We can cover the cost of trips, we can help with the costs of applying to university and even university visits. And we will also look for other ways to support students in their education to ensure that they are successful. So if you think you might qualify, it's definitely worth looking into that, and by all means get in touch with us to ask and we can look into it for you. Right, so I mentioned one of the things we wanted to talk to you about is about the transition process. GCSE results day this year will be on the 12th of August, a little bit earlier than we have had in previous years, and we see this as a real benefit because it means that we have lots of time to go through and make sure that all of your applications are right and you're all ready to enrol with us for the start of September. What I would say really clearly is that everybody should try to attend on results day. Not only is it a really important time and a great time to celebrate all of your hard work and success with your friends and with your teachers who've supported you through the process. It also means that we can support you with making your transition and application confirmed for sixth form in September. In your results envelope, when you collect it, there will be a letter from the sixth form team, and that will outline exactly what you need to do based on the results that you have. You will have various options, one of which will be to change your subjects if you wish to, or to sign and say that everything is absolutely fine with your application and you're happy to proceed and enrol for September. If that's the case and you don't need to make any changes to your application, you can hand in that paperwork before you leave on GCSE results day, and you don't need to do anything else. Your place will be ready for you when you arrive in September. If, however, you want to make some changes to your application, if, for example, you've changed your mind about a subject that you'd like to study, or if maybe a student doesn't qualify for the subject that they'd hoped to take, these would be reasons why we would ask students to come back on the 13th of August on the Friday. It will be in the morning time, so I know if people want to go away and things like that for the weekend, we will keep that to the morning. And provide people with an opportunity to meet with heads of subject who will all be available to talk about subject changes, and also the sixth form team to talk through anything to do with the pathway that a student is on and making some possible changes. It's also worth saying that Rosie, the careers advisor, will be available on both days, and she is there to be able to talk through any options with you and kind of support with making any decisions that you might have. The other thing to say is if you are applying to study maths, we do also have a maths induction day or induction kind of week, if you like, or summer school. These take place on the 24th and the 25th of August. So it's not for all students to attend, but if a student achieves a 6 rather than higher in order to study maths, so you can take maths with a grade 6, but this is just about a consolidation of core skills. So the maths department will welcome you in on those days and work on building up those foundations so that you're feeling really confident when you start in September. You will need to do an assessment at the end of those 2 days to ensure that it is the right fit for you to be on that course. All of our entry criteria for all of our courses, including that grade 6 in maths, is so that students are successful on the courses. And so that is why the maths department run that assessment to make sure that it is absolutely the right decision. And if they feel that actually it's not the right thing, then it might be that we have a further conversation to see about what might be a better fit, a better choice for you in your subjects. So supporting then in September, we introduced stationery packs a couple of years ago, and they have been absolutely fantastic. We find that we want to support students with being organised, and sometimes that can be really difficult because everybody has different ways of getting themselves organised. Some people will start September, and I'm sure some students and parents are out there thinking, yeah, that's absolutely the situation where you've got all of your new shiny pencil case and all of your resources all lined up on the first day. And then for other people, they might not necessarily be as organised as that. So we've put in place a stationery pack that is designed to provide students with all of the stationery that they need to support them on their first couple of weeks in their new courses. That includes lever arch folders, that includes subject dividers, wallets for putting in resources that you might be given by your subject teachers. You've got day folders as well, so you can be collecting those resources and then transferring them into your lever arch file. In our induction programme in the first couple of weeks, we will actually be running some sessions to encourage students to use these and to use them in a way that supports their organisation. So we would really encourage getting these stationery packs. Because we order in bulk, we're able to provide the full pack for £6.85. Where actually, if you were to buy all of those resources separately, it might come to a little bit more. And students will be able to collect those on their first day, Friday the 3rd of September. So on the 3rd of September, we have kind of 2 strands to that. So the first is for our external students. We're really aware that because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to invite our external students on site for our induction day yesterday. So we will be holding an induction event for external students. You'll get your timetable, you'll have the opportunity to follow your timetable round and get to grips with the layout of the school. You'll have an opportunity to meet with your tutor and get to know them a little bit. And we'll have some students, current students who are year 12 going into year 13, to have a little chat to and kind of ask any questions that you might have. In addition to that, at the same time, all other students who are current Wangel students will also be joining us on that day, but they'll just be attending for a one-to-one meeting. So you'll come and you'll meet with your tutor and again have a conversation to get to know them a little bit better. You'll be able to collect your timetable ready for Monday, and anybody who has a stationery pack will be able to collect it on that day. In addition to that, if students haven't been able to attend on GCSE Results Day, and I know this has gone out in letters, but if you're not able to attend on GCSE Results Day or on our enrolment day on the 13th, there will be an opportunity on Thursday, the 2nd of September, to be able to come and enrol. However, if we haven't had that, if you haven't booked an appointment for that day, we might not necessarily be expecting you, so we won't have scheduled you an appointment for Friday the 3rd. So do make sure you let us know if you can't attend GCSE Results Day and you want an appointment for Friday the 2nd. We wouldn't want anybody to miss out on that valuable meeting with their tutor on Friday. Normal lessons then will start on the 6th of September, and you'll have almost a full week of normal lessons. Students will be expected to submit their induction tasks, and I know details of that have been sent out around our Google Classroom, which is a platform that we have for students that contain all of the resources that students need to be able to prepare well for starting in September. On the Friday then, Friday the 10th, is one of the highlights of our academic year actually, and that is our trip to Dinton Pastures. It is such a valuable day for all students, both external and internal students, because you will be participating in activities with your new tutor group. So it's a great opportunity to get to know people in your tutor group. If you're already in year 11 at Wangels, you'll find that you'll get to know new people, you'll get to talk to people that you might not have spent much time talking to in the past. And those external students, this was a great opportunity for you to meet new friends, get to know people and settle in really, really quickly. And the reason why I say it's a highlight is because many students, when they get to the end of year 13, still reminisce about the times that they had when they were doing raft building or rock climbing or whatever it might be with students on that trip to Dinton Pastures. So a really fantastic day. We will be writing home to parents about all of these events as well as about Results Day. So do look out for that communication from us. And then you'll have that opportunity to pay for the Dinton Pastures trip and purchase the stationery pack if you wish, then in July or August. All of the information about this evening and a copy of the recording will be sent out to everybody tomorrow. And in that we'll have some links to some useful information. The first, for anybody who's applied and holds a conditional offer from us, you have a welcome pack that has been sent to you. And in there is lots of information about the induction tasks that you need to be completing ahead of September. There is also the sixth form guide, and again a link will be sent out about that. It's a really useful guide to help students and parents with what to expect and tips and advice for parents. I know it can be difficult supporting students in sixth form because they're grown up, but they also still need a little bit of our support and help, and your support and help. So there's some tips and advice in there for parents, as well as a copy of our contract and our dress code as well for students in getting prepared and doing any shopping that they might want to do over the holidays ready for September. So we've talked enough, but we would welcome any questions that you might have. So Miss Price is going to put any questions to us, and we will do our best to answer those for you. So Miss Price, over to you.
Mrs. Ward, I've got a question here from a parent, which I thought would be really good for you to respond. I have a general question from a parent, which reads, if my son doesn't get the grades he requires, will you allow him to follow his chosen subject or accept him into sixth form?
Brilliant, thank you, Mrs. Price. I think that's a really useful question, actually. So we do have quite strict entry criteria for the sixth form. We base it on a point score, and all of the details of the point score will be calculated for you. For our own students, you'll find that in your letter that you'll receive in your envelope, your results envelope. For external students, again, we will calculate that for you when you arrive on the enrolment day. We have set entry criteria for different pathways, so either for A-level, for a mixed pathway of A-level and vocational courses, and for vocational courses. The reason why we set that entry criteria and the specific subject criteria is to make sure that students are successful on the courses that they're opting for. The last thing that we would want is for students to struggle for 2 years and not come out with the best grades possible. So we are quite strict in holding to our entry criteria for courses. But I would recommend having a conversation with a member of staff. We treat every student on a case-by-case basis, and we do want to make sure that we are doing the best for each student. Again, it's not possible for us to admit a student, for example, onto an A-level pathway, we'll be able to review those subjects to look at perhaps a mixed pathway or a vocational pathway. We also have Rosie, as I've mentioned, the careers advisor here, who will be available throughout both the results day and our enrolment day to be able to support with making alternative choices or to support with adjusting choices perhaps for the sixth form.
Thank you. I've got another question from a parent. Mrs. Eaglesham, maybe you can answer this one. My son had a clash with 2 of his subjects. Will your blocks be changed to allow him to follow both of those choices?
Thank you, Mrs. Price. At this stage, our option blocks have been confirmed. Okay, so our option blocks won't be changing. So with that, any changes of subjects or even on results day, if students are changing their minds as to which pathway or subjects that they want to choose, they must fall in line with the current option blocks. Okay, if any additional support, guidance or discussion needs to take place in order to support in that process, then please do reach out, come and speak to us or get in touch. We can obviously talk that through with you, or we can direct you to perhaps Rosie Wallace, our careers advisor, if things aren't quite working to plan, to make sure that we get a package that is really suitable for you as an individual.
Mrs. Eaglesham, stay there because I've got another question which needs a little bit of clarification. How many A-levels are you allowed to take?
Okay, so we expect all students to have 3 outcomes. Okay, so if we're taking an A-level pathway, then students need to complete 3 A-levels, potentially a 4th as well. If they're perhaps doing a BTEC pathway, then we would expect them to perhaps take probably 1 BTEC, 2 A-level subjects, but in terms of how many outcomes, it needs to be 3 outcomes. We won't accept any students on a 2 outcome pathway. Students have to do 3 as a minimum.
Thank you. And I've got one for Mrs. Ward here. Are you allowed to add another course on enrolment day?
So we have always kind of tried to be as flexible as we can with our subject choices. So any student who wants to make changes on results day is welcome to do so. There is a slight caveat to that. So it depends on the class sizes. So if a class is full, then unfortunately we won't be able to make the requested changes, but we will do our best to make any changes that we can. If a student wants to, again, as Ms. Eaglesham says, opt for a 4th subject, we can certainly discuss that on results day. And also going through, so in the first couple of weeks in September, if a student starts a course and feels actually this isn't right for me, or following results day starts the induction material for a subject and feels I'm not really enjoying this, then it is always worth having a conversation with us, because we want students, like I said, to be successful. So we'll do our best to make changes and adjustments to a student's timetable on results day or even in the first couple of weeks in September. What I would say is the sooner the better. So because you do 9 hours over a fortnight, the subjects move at quite a fast pace. So if you leave it too long, then it might not be possible to be able to make those changes to the timetable. So we do say the first 2 full weeks is enough time to kind of get to grips with that subject and make that decision nice and early.
Okay, I have another one that's quite interesting. For you, Mrs. Eaglesham, I'll pass this one over to you. What is the maximum / minimum and average class size?
Okay, that's very much varied. We have some subjects where there might be very, very few. So perhaps some of our more specialist subjects, things like music, perhaps run on slightly fewer students, whereas perhaps some of our more popular subjects, things like maths, business, sociology, we work at a maximum of 20. Okay, so 20 would be our maximum in terms of an average. That's perhaps a very difficult question to ask without doing a little bit of maths, but perhaps I would say perhaps 10 to 12, 13, something like that would be perhaps an average class size, but there is a little bit of range to it.
Thank you. That's just about the end of the questions, I think. But if you've got any more questions, just keep them coming and we'll reply in the chat.
So thank you so much for all of your questions. I hope we've been able to answer those for you. I've just checked the time. It is 1 minute past 7. So as promised, we've finished with enough time for you to go off and enjoy the football. But I really do appreciate your time. I hope it's been useful. Please do send in any feedback that you've got for us, and any questions that you have. Our sixth form admissions email is the best place to contact, and we'll be able to get back to you as soon as possible. We will send an email out tomorrow, as I've mentioned, with all of the details from our presentation, with the links to any of the resources that we've mentioned, and then we will be in touch in the coming weeks about results day and about Dinton Pastures and the stationery pack and arrangements for September. But thank you so much for joining us. Take care. Have a lovely evening. Thank you very much.